κατάσταση.
Mary belongs to the growing ranks of young people unable to find work. And it's not a Greek-only phenomena. Throughout the European Union, the biggest victims of the Eurozone crisis have been Europe's youngest workers, those under the age of 25. In 18 out of the 27 EU member states, youth unemployment has surpassed 20%. But for these members in red, the percentage has reached alarming levels. Ireland, Slovakia, Italy, Portugal, Spain, and Greece are sending warning signals where as much as 1 in 2 persons in this age bracket are jobless. Nick Malkoutsis has written extensively on this problem, which he says also affects those between the age of 25 and 35 as well. He warns the young generation with little future is the main ingredient for an explosive political and social cocktail that EU leaders can no longer ignore.
Well, clearly when you have 7 out of 10 young people unemployed and a lot of those disappointed, apoplectic about the opportunity of finding work, then you create a dangerous social situation. And I guess it has 2 real ways you can see it developing. One is that you see a lot of young Greeks going abroad. That has started to some extent. We have 120,000 graduates studying and working abroad over the last few years. And the other is that they become so disappointed and angry with the political system, the decision makers in Greece, that they turn to rather extreme solutions.
Since Greece signed its first EU-IMF bailout 3 years ago, demonstrations such as these have become all too familiar. A young generation protesting against what the baby boom generation has left them. A Eurozone crisis, wage cuts, higher taxes, and a shrinking job market with no room for young people. But last month, a sign that Europe's 2 biggest economies have woken up and smelled the social crisis coffee when it comes to Europe's 27 million unemployed. The 2 leaders announced a new vision of Europe, a so-called New Deal for Europe's young.
We would like Europe to pay more attention to the job situation, especially jobs for the young.
If you look at the programs adopted in Spain, Italy, Greece, Portugal, or in Ireland, you will notice that it's not just a question of budget consolidation. These are massive structural reforms that are completely changing these countries.
Critics argue these massive reforms have virtually erased their young from the job market. But under this so-called New Deal, the plan is to use over 6 billion euros to finance small and medium businesses to encourage job creation. There'll also be funding for language and training courses to move where the jobs are, namely in Germany and Austria. But is this plan too late for people like Yanis Spanos? Yanis lives with his parents. He's been applying for jobs for over a year and a half.
I finished university. I'm 28 years old and I can't find any kind of job. On top of that, I've never had an answer from any company I've applied to.
While Yanis hopes this so-called New Deal could eventually help him open his own business, he remains skeptical. For him, politicians don't exactly have the best track record when it comes to creating jobs for young people.
First of all, we need to blame ourselves because we voted for them for all these years. I can't always blame the politicians. Firstly, it's our fault, then the politicians. And I could say the politicians, who were in power all those years, did nothing about the situation. They just left it as it is.
Changing a situation which has seen some 70,000 small companies shut down since the first bailout and left almost a third of Greece's workforce jobless. But for Greece's business community, Europe's New Deal could work if they think small. Europe has some 25 million SMEs and 27 million unemployed. All they have to do is hire 1 person and unemployment is solved. But for this businessman, the real problem is time.
Certainly it can work, but I don't think that it's going to work at the present period. I think it's going to the new programming period of 2014-2020. To be honest, these 6 months, maybe a year, is a long time for Greece. We are struggling to reach 2014. Certainly, I believe that government has not able to do whatever they would like to do. They have to ask Troika. I think within Troika there are also different approaches as far as the Greek problem is concerned. And I think the problem is that the Greek society is undertaking all these misunderstandings.
Unemployment, but especially unemployment among Europe's young, is listed as top priority at the next EU summit later this month. But for Europe's jobless generation, the warning bells are ringing. A warning that unless European leaders start putting their words into actions, even those said to have their whole life ahead of them will get tired of waiting.
If we are negative about everything, we can't go any further. Why can't things change? I think things can change. If you help young people, everything can change.
If I wait that long, I imagine that I will be at an age when I won't have either the strength or the ambition to work. Now is the time for me to work.